tomorrow will be better. Here's another equation on the board, another quadratic equation to be solved by factoring. Follow me, dear friends. Solution. I'll start by copying the equation again. X squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 8. The equation was clear that this should be solved by factoring. It means it's factorable. But had we not known whether this can be factored or not, we will use the discriminant function d to prove whether it can be factored or not. How do we determine using the discriminant? We calculate the discriminant of the function, and if we obtain either a positive value and if possible a perfect square, then we know that we can factor this equation. But if not, if we obtain a negative discriminant, then you cannot factor this quadratic equation. All right, so having had the instruction to factor the quadratic equation, we will go ahead. The first step here is to find AC. All right, AC. Now, what's AC all about? No need to say that here A is 1 and then B is negative 8, while C, the constant term, is C, okay? So AC is simply going to be the product 1 times 15, which is none else but 15, all right? So this is AC. What do we do with AC? The next target now is to find two factors of AC which can add up to give us B. Okay, let's find a pair of factors of AC, the product AC, which can sum up to give us B. Now notice one thing here, dear friends. This is how to work smart. AC is positive, but B here is negative. This calls to mind already that the two factors we should get here should all be negative, because the product of two negative numbers will give us a positive number. And then here B is negative. This is even the reason for which we are using two factors of C, which should all be negative, because B is a negative number. Okay, we can start searching and searching and searching. You will find 1 and 15, which cannot go, because 1 plus 15 will never give us negative 8. We can even try negative 1 and negative 15, which will still never give us negative 8. The only suitable pair here is going to be negative 3 and negative 5. Why? Because negative 3 times negative 5 will give us positive 15, and then negative 3 plus negative 5 will give us negative 8. Okay, so this is my correct pair here. So I start simply by rewriting here that this is the same as negative 3 times negative 5. Okay, so let me rewrite my equation here. This time around, I'll replace negative 8x by negative 3 and negative 5. Okay, so I write this as so x squared now minus 3x and then minus 5x plus 15 equals 0. Observe something here, dear friends. I haven't changed anything, because this x squared, this is it. This negative 8x, this is it here again, right here. This is negative 8x, which has just been decomposed, okay? And then now this 15 here is it, and then equals to 0, all right? So at this point, I'm going to split my quadratic equation into two. I will split the left-hand side term into two, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So I'm going to split them into two like this, all right? And in each pair, I'm going to find similarities. Look at the first pair, x squared minus 3x. Okay, in x squared minus 3x, here there is 3, there is no 3 here, but there is x here and there is another x here. Okay, because this is the same as x times x, there's a minus here, and then this is the same as 3 times x. Okay, so in this first pair, I'm going to factor out x, because x is here and it's also here. All right, so when I factor out x as so, if I factor out x here, I'm left with just x. And then if I factor out x from here, I'm left with just negative 3. Okay, here is it. Now in this second pair, I am going to find out another similarity between the two terms. Look at this. This is 5, and then this is 15. In 15, we can find 5. Okay. On the other hand, this is x. There is no x here. So the only thing we have here in common is a certain 5. So watch how we're going to do it. So this can be written again as negative 5 times x. Watch out, this is not a decimal, it's a product. And then plus, and then here we have 5 and then times 3. let's not forget equals 0. So there is a 5 here. Be careful, it's negative, and then there is 5 here. Let me show you how to go about it. Now I start by rewriting this negative here. Okay, now I want to factor this 5 which is common here. If I bring out 5 here, observe that already I have negative 5 here, so I've put out negative 5 from here. What am I left with? Just an x. Now I'm going to pull out this same 5 which is already here, and then I'll be left with just 3. Let me just write this for now like this. But watch out something. If I have to do a reverse process of what I just did, which is expanding this bracket, I will not obtain this. Why? Because minus 5 times x gives us minus 5x quite correctly. But minus 5 times positive 3 will not give me positive 15. It will give me negative 15. So what can I do in order for me to still have my positive 15 here? I have to change this sign to a negative. In this way, negative times negative, positive 5 times 3, 15. So I factor it. Now let me give you a trick at this point here. Always be sure that this term that you factor out here should be the same here. These two terms have to be the same because this is where the factoring process really occurs. Look at this. We can assign another variable, say u, to represent what is in the bracket, u. So in essence, we can rewrite this as xu. This implies that xu minus 5u equals 0. So you see there's again another familiarity, another similarity here. We have u here and we got another u here, which again we will factor once more. Okay, so if I factor out u, I'm going to have here that u here will be left with just x, and then u out here will be left with just negative 5. Okay, all of this should be equal to 0. I'm almost done. Now at this level, I just have to recall that this u didn't just, it wasn't there from the start. So we will say, but this u actually is x minus 3, okay? So I'm going to replace u by its value, which is x minus 3. This implies x minus 3. Instead of u, I won't write u anymore. I will just write the value of u, which is x minus 3. And then now, there's a bracket here, x minus 5. There's a bracket here, x minus 5. All of this should be equal to 0. And at this point, I will just call your attention to the fact that whenever you multiply two things and then it gives you a 0, there's only one explanation to this. Either the 0 came from this term or from this term, because it's only 0 times another thing which will give you 0. It's only 0 times something else which can give you 0. Okay, so if this times this gave us a 0, this means that either it is this thing which is keeping the 0, or it is x minus 5, this second term here, which is keeping that 0. In the case where it is this first term which brought about the 0, then x will be equal to get x from here, you just bring out negative 3 to the other side to give us positive 3. And in the second case, you just bring negative 5 to the other side to become positive 5. Therefore, x is either 3 or 5. And this is how we solve quadratic equations by factoring method, because tomorrow will be better.